overview of the Oracles and Intuition course upcoming here. And it uses spiritual transformation with goddesses, gods, and ascended masters as part of the Spiritual Guide Certification Program. And hello, this is Philip Montrose with my wonderful partner and wife here at Awakenings Institute, Jane Montrose.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, this is going to be a special overview webinar, not only finding out about this upcoming amazing course that you can participate in, but just what you'll learn today about developing your intuition, connecting with the masters, using oracles, and more. And the upcoming training is connecting with these higher realms, namely goddesses, gods, and ascended masters. And you have a synergy here that we'll be sharing. These are tools for the new frontier, as we describe it, the new frontier for humanity. And that would be tools. Yes, and welcome people coming in. Tools like connecting with masters, like using oracles, like developing your intuition and more. And when you learn how to do this, your confidence soars. As one of our students said from our training, this is why I'm here, why I'm doing my life. It makes sense. In other words, you delve into the mysteries. They're still mysteries, but they're not confusing and overwhelming and making you fearful. You're actually riding the waves of the mysteries into these deep, wonderful flow places and being able to connect with yourself more deeply and helping others. So who are we? Just namely Jane Montrose and myself, the directors of Awakenings Institute, a nonprofit organization devoted to making the world a more loving place and honoring everyone's gifts. And we've been doing this kind of work, the holistic approach to spiritual growth and healing and coaching for 3 decades plus. And we've gone through a lot of trials and errors and explored many things, developed many tools and techniques ourselves that we've tried and used and helped people with. And lately, in recent years, we've now gone into spiritual guide certification training, how to become your own spiritual guide for yourself and to help others. And this is a wonderful thing, as we said, to go into this great awakening time, this pivotal lifetime for us, to have the confidence, to have the tools and know-how and the support, both internally with the higher realms and externally with a spiritual group of like-minded people, like the people watching this, the people in our programs. And that's a wonderful place to be. And it's available to everyone, as we'll explain. And the upcoming course has 7 powerful lessons, trainings with practice labs. And I think you'll really enjoy this training today. And stay tuned for the end, because we're going to have probably a pretty amazing demonstration connecting with the masters, using an oracle card and getting some powerful insights and how to go further in the program, and join it if you're interested. I know some people watching this are actually already enrolled in the program, as this is sort of a beginning of the Spiritual Guide Oracles and Intuition course. So Jane, that takes us to being in the right place at the right time for developing your spiritual intuition and growth.
Right. And I think for anyone wanting to take your next step, wanting to accelerate your spiritual growth, wanting to live fully and be just fully engaged in life, which is what a lot of the things that we're talking about here have done for us, you are in the right place. And we've been amazed with the results of all of this. So we're providing a good overview today, and starting with the process. Those who know us know this well. And we have different variations on it. We're going to do a group meditation for rising above the illusions of separation and difficulty to a special place for connecting with the loving power of your soul. Simply stated, we call it soul centering, but this is a way to also elevate your vibration while doing it, which is an important part of connecting with the higher realms and your full potential. So I think that for me, this is where it all starts. In all of our teachings, this is what we talk about: is having that connection with your heart and your soul. And it is a loving place. It is a place where you can get validation of the magnificence within you, that you're a really wonderful, unique spiritual being. It's also the place to go for accessing your intuition and for spiritual transformation. So it does accelerate your evolution in really pretty substantial mystical ways that are verifiable. When I started doing this myself, I noticed a big difference in my life in general within a week or two. So it is very valuable. And another thing that is a big question for people, we've been helping people with intuition for years now. And one of the big questions that people ask is, well, how can I tell if this is my intuition or if it's just another thought that's going through my head? This is a very specific state, a very aware state of being centered in your heart, where you know if you're there. There's no doubt. And the more you practice it, of course, the better it gets. So it is, as I mentioned, it is for us like the foundation of everything. And this idea of going to the perfect place, it's something that we really started using when we were doing hypnotherapy, because you can imagine going to the perfect place essentially for just about anything. And somehow magically you are transmitted there. So going to the perfect place for connecting with your soul can be a very magical experience that we're going to have together, to start understanding again that you're connected with divine wisdom in your heart and soul. And I think the most profound part about it is we are creators because the creator resides in us. In other words, the heart, it's more than a pump. I think most of us sense that. This is where the creator resides in us. This is where God comes through us, however you want to describe it. So it's a very profound place to be. And it's easy to get there. It's easy to know if you are there. And so here we go. We also have a script for this, which is available for all the people who are in the program that you can use to return to this often. So I start actually generally every process I do in the same way. First, closing your eyes, assuming that's comfortable to you, and if you're in a safe place to do so. And starting by breathing in the most amazing love and light you can imagine from the universe around you. You know, we are in a friendly universe. We talked about this last week, in an introduction that we did, where people often believe we live in an unfriendly world that's really against us, when actually what we live in is a friendly universe that is on our side. So we can open to that potential now and just ask all of the beings of light surrounding us, angels and masters and gods and goddesses, just ask them to support us by blessing us with the most beautiful light, the perfect light and love now, and breathing that in. So taking it in with an inhale and releasing anything that's not that, anything that feels heavy or dense as you exhale. So you feel brighter and lighter with each breath. And as you're doing this, asking any energy that is not your own to leave your space, this ball of light around you, because we pick up energy from other people, other times, other places. And when we send it back, there's more room for us to be here, present in this moment. So just sending it all back lovingly, wherever it came from. And you might feel a difference. And similarly, we leave bits of ourselves with other people, other times, and other places. So you can just ask any of that energy of your own that is somewhere else to bring it back into your space now. Again, so more of you can be present. And as you do this and breathe, just notice if you feel like you're more present now than you were when we started. I find for myself it's a great way to start any process that I'm going to do, because I can feel more present in the moment in my body. And this is what we want, again, for the foundation. So you're sending all that energy back, receiving all of your own energy, and then breathing that love that you feel from the universe around you in your heart. And an easy way, if you're not quite feeling it, is imagine someone or something you love, just something that's easy to connect with that state. Like if you have a pet baby or a child or someone or something, it can be even something that you just love. Opening to that state of love, feeling it in your body and in your heart, just allowing it to intensify in your heart as we also breathe in now lighter, even lighter energy, because we're going to take a little journey together. So we can imagine as we breathe in this lighter energy that we can start to rise up to a beautiful mystical mountaintop. So just imagine now that you're floating gently upward to that place. We can also invite angels to join us. Many people focus on Archangel Michael because he's here as a protector for us, and we can always feel safe when he's with us when we're doing this kind of journeying. And I also personally feel that it's appropriate to invite Archangel Metatron, who is one of the archangels guiding us in this new age. Just inviting them to be with us as we rise, and opening your heart to trust in the process. The rational mind often wants to come in and comment. And what I like to tell my mind is just to relax for now. When we're done, that's the time to evaluate. So we're not wanting to prevent the mind from evaluating, just the time to experience the process. And now arriving at the mountaintop and opening to that panoramic view, the lighter light and air that you feel in the mountains. Just breathing in that beautiful light and air and that expansive view, noticing the glory of the world around us. And this is just a stopping point for us now. You can stop here. And this is a great place for doing the process that we're going to do more, just connecting with that love in your heart and receiving guidance. What we're going to do now, though, is rise up even higher. Imagine going through the atmosphere. In other words, it is, you could say, into outer space, and also above the mass consciousness thought forms that hold us down. Because we're freer. The higher we go, the freer we feel. So imagine rising up through that. And then notice how you feel. Feeling free from limiting thought forms and beliefs that other people are trying to attach to you. Surrounding yourself with love and light. And sensing freedom. Freedom is actually the theme of this new age that we're entering. And it is something that is important to most of us, or maybe all of us. That's something we've noticed when people are wanting more. It often has to do directly with having more freedom, ways to feel freer. So we're going up, feeling freer, having the stars all around us, and imagining that there's a star that's calling you, and it's the perfect place for meeting your soul. So just allow yourself to go now, and just, you may not know what it is, and that's okay, because it's going to present itself to you arriving at that perfect place for meeting with your soul. And as you arrive, notice what that's like. Allowing the scene to take form around you and feeling the energy, just feeling the lightness, the freedom, the love, opening more to the love in your heart and allowing it to radiate out all around you. And as you do that, the theme really for today is to open to the wonder of who we are, or for who you are, for each of us, who we are, and the guidance that's available to you here. As I mentioned, this is something, if it's new to you, that becomes stronger as you repeat it, and then becomes a very natural and easy thing. And just notice how you feel about yourself in this space, how you feel about having the guidance and wisdom that you need in your life. We also are surrounded by beings of light, and we're going to be talking about them more today and throughout this course, who are supporting us as guides and teachers. So just feeling that sense of connectedness with your own magnificence, your own higher self, you could say, and with everyone and everything, with the universe as part of that friendly universe. Also, in this space, you can find a place to sit and rest and relax, or to maybe to lie down and rest and relax. So you can come here anytime and explore more about who you are, about your own truth, about what you sense intuitively, because now we're talking about what we're sensing with our higher senses. And of course, again, exploring that connectedness that we have with angels and masters and beings from the elemental kingdom, who are all part of reality, our reality, without us knowing it most of the time. So now, knowing that this place is available to you anytime, and having the intention of holding this place, being in that state of love, of loving awareness, we can return, and we'll continue with our intention for today, for coming together and opening more to our intuitive abilities and introducing those beings of light who are going to be with us. So just noticing what's around you again, how you're feeling, and know that you can return to this place. And then intending to start to return, coming back down to where we started, just flowing and floating gently down. Back to where you're seated or resting with your feet firmly on the floor, grounding yourself, in other words. And then breathing in more active energy, coming back to your normal waking state, feeling wonderfully refreshed. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So that's the basic soul centering kind of plus in a certain format or framework. That also, when we rise up into the universe in that way, it does raise our vibration. It's kind of like if we're meeting with these higher beings, also, we want to meet them halfway. You know, it reminds me of the Michelangelo painting with God's hand reaching down and us reaching up. That's the idea. Mm-hmm. And from this place, then, this is a good place to start talking a little bit more about intuition. So, Philip.
Right. Thanks, Jane, for guiding us. That was beautiful. So wonderful, resourceful place for strengthening your intuition and opening to a whole new world of possibilities from here.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people wonder, in this kind of spiritual work that we're doing, do you need to be a psychic to do that? Do you need to be like some kind of specially gifted person? And the answer really is no. Yes, it can be good to go to a psychic person and get insights and support, but not as a substitute for your own empowerment and your own knowing. Because if you do have it as a substitute, it may become a codependency and actually disempower you. So basically, with the right training, the right support, anyone can open up to their intuition. And one thing about intuition, it's like
Or take your next steps.
or take your
Some
next step.
people may feel like you've already opened quite a bit.
Yeah.
And what I've discovered is that there's always more,
Right.
which is wonderful.
I liken it to muscle, physical, developing muscle, physical strength. If you want to develop your muscles, you need to use them, right? And if you use them, you're going to get stronger muscles and they're going to develop. Well, if you want to develop your intuition, you need to use it and it will get stronger. And everything we're teaching today and in our course, i.e., oracles, connecting with higher guides, higher states, all of this will develop your intuition. Will become more natural and a part of you. And if you're watching this or being part of this webinar, I'm sure you have a certain level of intuitive development already and want to go further with it. And it will help you think outside the box. We've heard the phrase, how do we, think outside the box? Well, how do I think outside the box? Because if I'm thinking, I'm probably in the box. It's like, how do I get outside of it? Well, we just did an experience where you get outside the box, and you do that by feeling, by connecting with your higher senses that mirror your outer external senses, your inner hearing, seeing, sensing, even tasting, smelling. You connect with that and more. And that embodies, it goes into your body, into your awareness, opens your heart, and that connects different parts of your brain, and voila, you are thinking outside of the box. And that's why we do these oracle readings, just generally, Jane and I, as a daily practice, as a meditation, and we're, good to go thinking outside the box. We may start with a worry or fear, something comes in that disrupts us, like daily life often presents us. And suddenly you're in that higher place, like Jane escorted us to, the perfect place, the mystical mountaintop. But it's not ethereal in the sense that it's unrelated and it's an escape. No, it actually is a pathway, is a grounded tool to live your life more fully and intentionally. So here at Awakenings Institute and the Spiritual Guide program coming up, in this Oracles and Intuition course that starts next week, really in a way starting today, it's based on mystery schools. And you may have heard these esoteric teachings throughout history, from Atlantis to ancient Egypt, Greece, the early Gnostic Christian teachings, Freemasons, Rosicrucian, and more. And today, the idea is to learn to become the master of yourself, not following the guru, although there may be great spiritual teachers, but not to become codependent on anything, as we said, outside of yourself, but to use these spiritual practices and tools that we're teaching here, and learning how to master them and integrate them in your life. It's sometimes called the middle path. That's kind of a nice term to it, the path of love, the path of balance. It's not extreme. It's very direct. You don't have to put yourself into a pretzel shape or go into a cave or do some kind of strange practice. No, you can still have your everyday life, have a job, a family, and so forth, and start to integrate this in your own way, at your own rate, with support. As we said, the inner spiritual support that we're exploring today, and the outer spiritual community of a mystery school or a spiritual guide program, training the other like-minded, wonderful people that you can connect with. And these are really keys for developing your intuition. And on that note, I want to give you some very valuable information right now. And it's what we call it is 7 keys for developing your intuition. We have a handout in your resource section for all the people who enrolled in the course. And these keys can give you a nice overview, a nice guideposts for developing your intuition. What does it mean? How do you do it? And I'm going to go over these 7 keys, which we're going to follow up in the course as we go on. And I'm going to use an example of a former student of ours, Marion, who used these keys and how it played out for her to sort of embody the idea, to give you explicit examples. So the first key to becoming more intuitive, your intuitive traits, developing them, is valuing your uniqueness. What do you mean I'm unique? Oh, yeah, I am unique. Am I unique? Am I special? Am I different? Well, you are unique, like your fingerprints. There's no one like you. It's not it doesn't mean having a false self-esteem and thinking you're above other people. No, you are a unique person, contributing to the whole fabric of reality. And in the case of our former student, Marion, she was at the time when we met her in the corporate world, a human resource job. She didn't really value her uniqueness, and our corporation really was just using her like sometimes corporations do, and taking her for granted, trying to get the most out of her with the most amount of hours. And that's not really a way of appreciating someone, kind of actually burning them out. So in the opportunity, and there's an obstacle and opportunity in each of these traits I'm going to share, the 7 traits, and valuing your uniqueness, is you can discover your gifts. Yes, you do have gifts. Yes, you do have things you're good with, things you have gifted from birth and prior, that you can explore and develop. And Marion, of course, knew that intuitively, but it was kind of buried underneath the day-to-day grind in the corporate world. Okay, second intuitive gift.
And just as a note,
Yes, Jane.
I'm going to the process we did as part of is a place where you can go to understand more about your uniqueness and your value as a spiritual being. Because when you connect with your heart, it will tell you, you know, who am I? Am I really of value? Does my life mean anything? You know, sometimes, and I came from a place where I wasn't sure.
Right.
So it's a beautiful thing when you do start to really value that.
Yeah, and I think we all have moments of doubt, and we're a little bit going against the mainstream, going into intuition and following our heart. Although we know that's the right path, the mainstream hasn't quite gotten there yet. You haven't heard that in the mainstream, those kind of terms very much, but you will. We're going in that direction. But it takes a little support and energy and training to embody that and to accelerate your journey. So the second intuitive trait, second key for developing your intuition, is becoming decisively self-confident. Becoming self-confident. So going back to Marion, she wasn't very confident. In fact, one of the first classes she was in of ours, at that time it was in a physical building that there were just, I think there were just 7, a handful, it was 10 people, a small number of people were in the class. But when it came time for her to talk and introduce herself, she was so nervous she could hardly speak, just to introduce who she was. I mean, and these are like people who are supporting, and you might relate to that kind of, that's where she started out, in the process, even though she really desired strongly to develop her intuition and find her purposes and gifts and live the life she truly wanted. So that the opportunity was to open up to her confidence, to find ways to connect with her inner guidance and receive support from others, right? So the third trait, the third key for developing your intuition here, is balancing your feminine and masculine. We're all feminine and masculine within, even though we have a gender that we were born with, and then some people change that too, or shift that, especially younger people. But we have the elements, the energies of masculine and feminine within us, all of us, and they're playing all the time. And the feminine is more receptive, more intuitive. The masculine is more active, more taking strategies, and often following up with some of the things, the intuitive insights from the feminine. But they're at play at all times, like the yin yang, and these polarities we go deeper in our trainings. But for now, in developing this trait, what we'll say is the obstacle is you may have too much masculine or too much feminine in general, or in a particular situation. You may be too passive. You may be too active. Or in Marion's case, we did a process. She wanted to step out and develop her own practice, break away from that human resource burned out position. And when she checked in with her feminine part, it was waiting for the masculine part to show up, and the masculine part was missing in action. So neither of them were there until we did some healing.
Yeah, they both could be weak.
Yeah, that's another option.
Yeah.
So doing the healing, getting the support was the opportunity to start to balance herself and move forward. So the fourth,
can I add something?
Yes, please do.
Because while we're on the masculine and feminine, the developing and honoring the feminine is really one of the more important parts of our development at this time. And I think for humanity in general, because we've come into a place that is so overly masculinized, and we need to return to that place where both sides are honored and where they can function collaboratively and not in opposition to each other or one above the other, which we see often in society represented in that way. And it just is something to be aware of, and it is something that we go into specifically in this course.
Right. And the fourth trait out of the 7, the keys for becoming more intuitive, is what we call self-actualizing. That means willing to have a vision. Do you have a vision, a dream? Maybe you already have one. Maybe you're living it. Maybe you're not there yet, but you can have it. For Marion, she did want to become a holistic practitioner. That was her dream. But of course, there was a lot of repression of that from different places, as there often is for us. But the opportunity was through her guidance, through connecting with her abilities, because she was very good at healing. She was very good at communicating. Mm-hmm. And she kept on going in that direction without letting all the fears and obstacles. I can't do it. I'm not good enough. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. It won't work for me. These very common things that we're all at times plagued with. Yes, they're there. And yes, we can let that stop us and we'll sort of die on the vine, or we can keep going and overcome them and developing these intuitive traits. And so Jane is going to go into the remaining intuitive traits here that we go further into in the course, but let's give an overview here, Jane.
Yeah, and just what we've seen so far, if you talk about, it makes sense if you want to open to your intuition that you need to value your uniqueness and your unique observations and guidance, and not be questioning, well, so-and-so says this and then somebody else says that. It really is, it just comes through you. And if you block it, if you say, well, no, so-and-so says that, or so, then it's gone. You've lost it. And I think that's one of the big challenges too, and why it's so important to know when you're in the right place, that it is your intuition and not just a bunch of rational mind kind of wanderings. Balancing the masculine and feminine, and being self-actualizing, that's part of it too. That it is really, all of these things are about being yourself and allowing yourself to be yourself, which is a challenge in itself, of course. Interestingly, and so many of us have been told, well, you're not good at this, or you're not valuable enough, or for women that, really men are more important. There's so many things that go through our heads, and not to say undervalue men either. I mean, men have their own challenges too, being expected to be maybe more than is reasonable for any single individual, or whatever the challenge might be. The next key is number 5, is being open-minded and flexible. So it's recognizing that more is possible. And something that we've found in recent years doing these processes that we've been doing, and the things that we teach in this spiritual guide course, because it is about opening to your magnificence, is that it can be very challenging. Mm-hmm. When we really open to who we are, we recognize there are some things about us that go beyond our beliefs. And I would say in a good way, because we are magnificent. And a lot of times we think if we look deep, we're going to find something bad, like, oh, you're horrible. But that's the illusion. That's the illusion of limitation. We want to be able to rise up and open to possibilities we never considered before. So the obstacle obviously is having preconceived ideas about the way things are and have to be, or having agendas like it has to be this way for me to feel good about myself, things that are not genuine in the heart, that may be coming from mind activity. And the opportunity is being able to lift our spirits and go to a place of openness where we can discover truth. I think one example for me, those who know us already have heard my story pretty much, but in all of these processes and connecting with the higher realms and beings of light and going into the Akashic records and all these things which are part of this program, I was able to trace my history all the way back to Atlantis. And in doing that, I did encounter a lot of things that challenged me. But then in the end, it's freeing, because we're freeing ourselves from these boundaries we set on who we could possibly be and what's true for us. And the most amazing things, I'm looking at the people here, I know many of you who have discovered things about yourself you never would have imagined or been able to, say, integrate, that are so important and essential to who you really are. You know, it's really heartwarming. It feels so good in the heart to be able to be there, to be able to open up and recognize, well, gee, you know, I am much more than I ever thought in ways that I never considered also. So that's part of it. Number 6 is being self-reliant and independent, which makes sense. I think we've kind of referred to that already, that we have to reach a place of energetic sovereignty. In other words, we can hold our space and allow others to hold their space. And then we can collaborate and connect with each other in a way where we're not being tied to each other. In other words, we can move beyond to what we call codependence, which Philip referred to before, into more of a state of interdependence, because we do need each other. We do have the truth within. We also can receive a lot of insights that expand that barrier, those boundaries that we perceive, by connecting with others who are like-minded and who are supportive. And I have found personally that I absolutely need that. There are times when I think, well, gosh, my guidance said this thing, and I just can't quite get there. And then I talk to someone who can support me. So that's number 6. Number 7 is presence. And we talked about that, or I talked about it a little bit at the first part of the process of going to the perfect place, of just experiencing yourself being in your body in the moment, in a place of self-acceptance and love. And we can just focus on that now, just together, just being here together in this moment, because it's all happening in the moment ultimately. And it is our point of power. And sometimes I think of the idea of moment versus momentum, because people are often in this momentum, like, oh, this has to happen, and then I'm going to do that, and then next it comes this other thing, and it's just now, you know. And I love, one of my favorite phrases is being in the flow with joy and ease, just being in the flow of the moment and moving through time in that way with ease rather than in a stressful, anxious way. So the obstacles can include being too confused, too ungrounded, too anxious, because we look at our busy schedules. It seems like that's one of the plagues of society these days, is being busy. It's like we expect ourselves to be busy as if that means that we're worthy. And then when you decide, well, I think I'm going to not do that, it isn't that easy to give up needing to be busy. It's interesting. Anyhow, and of course, being in momentum. And the opportunity really is to focus on being able to be in your body with your feet on the ground and experiencing the magnificence of the moment. Because often we're in this imagination about, well, gee, this horrible thing is happening over here, and that's so going over there, and then I have to be here by this time, and we're not ourselves. We can actually live we can live safely and in fact much more easily and joyfully being in our bodies in the moment. So
Right.
those are 7 really wonderful ways to just things to explore. And these are the kinds of things you can explore any of these and any other areas of interest to you in the processes that we do in this program, and connecting through the oracles and using the tarot, which are great tools for receiving. We could say, we often call it organized synchronicity. You can receive all this synchronous guidance that is magical and wonderful. As Philip mentioned, we're using cards, oracle cards, and tarot cards on more or less a daily basis. I wouldn't say I do something new every day, because part of it is also integrating what you're receiving. But it is really magical. And then just briefly, the last page of our handout on this, it mentions some states that interfere with presence, and there are overlaps too. It just very quickly doubting yourself, of course, which is why you want to be in that heart-centered space where you feel good about yourself. You love yourself. Stress and anxiety, allowing the rational mind to dominate, which is, and it wants to. I think ultimately, the more we do these things, the more the rational mind can see that they're working. Kind of like for those who use EFT, the emotional freedom techniques, where you measure before and after doing some kind of a change, like reducing a fear or something. And by measuring, the rational mind has something that it can use to evaluate. And it's kind of like, oh, wow, it was a 9 and now it's a 0 and everything's completely different. This actually works. So the mind changes, and what we have eventually come up with is a collaboration between the heart and the head, instead of a fight, a disagreement. Being in momentums, of course, worrying about the future, dwelling on difficulties and failures from the past. That's another thing. We can heal those difficulties and move forward more easily with more of us present again. And then fear in its many forms. And we don't, this is not a healing course per se that we're entering, but we do teach some of the most simple, easy, powerful healing techniques available that anyone can do. And it is really a wonderful way to start, and you can do a lot with those things. So the opportunities are immense and magical and mystical.
And those 7
and exciting.
And exciting. Those 7 keys, those 7 intuitive traits, the handout is in your resource section for those people enrolled in the course to review, reference. And just to conclude Marion's story, I didn't give the finish to it, but she became a holistic practitioner like her heart desired. And she's a great teacher, a Reiki healer, energy healer, and she's been doing it for decades now. She's still a good colleague and friend. So that takes us to the next segment of the tools and understanding things here on developing your intuition with oracles. Why oracles? Why tarot cards? These powerful intuitive tools. Well, using these powerful tools are really like a portal, an opening to these higher worlds and bringing them in. And there is something, what we do is what psychology calls reality monitoring. In other words, this is practical. This works. It's not just so far out that you throw away everything, on a whim, on a notion. It's very grounded. In other words, bringing heaven down to earth bringing the
Right.
spiritual into the practical and
Yeah.
integrating it with your rational mind. You think outside the box and then you integrate it with these creative solutions. And the oracles and tarot, as we've been mentioning, are powerful tools to do just that. And in the 3 courses of the Spiritual Guide program, we delve into different oracle decks, very specific ones that we found highly effective. They've been time tested for their effectiveness, and our students have really loved them thus far and give us great feedback in how they can use it in their own personal life and professional life. And we have guidebooks too that we've written in the course so you can follow them and know what to do step by step. So it's very easy. And the specific processes of using them are going to also connect you with different spiritual masters, sometimes called goddesses and goddesses, like Kuan Yin, Mother Mary, Buddha, Saint Germain, Baba Ji, Dwal Kul, and the list goes on. And we'll connect with those, and we're going to do that just momentarily here in this training even today. And it's quite uplifting to have that energy, to have that view of things, and then integrate that into reality. So things make a lot more sense. And it can be quite life-changing. I know Susan Carey, who's in our course, said after doing a process in one of our classes, she understood, as I said, the whole point of life, what she's doing here,
Wow.
her metaphysical, her roots, her background, what her purpose is on a very deep level. And it's very wonderful to be part of that and for yourself and to support others in doing that. And as Jane and I've mentioned, this has become a part of our daily life. Let me just do a mini flash reading here for you. I'm going to draw a card from a deck. I'll go to my other camera here and draw this card from a deck that we use. We like at the theme of the Keepers of the Light. It's the Masters and Guides from Kyle Gray. I'm going to draw a card from one of the masters. There's quite a few masters, and we use these in the course. And I just pick a card. So I want to just get a master today to have a quick flash on. Ooh, okay, this is powerful. And these cards, maybe you can see the beautiful artwork in the image of Melchizedek, one of the masters. And the tagline is higher learning. Let me just give you and Melchizedek appeared through different times in histories and became an ascended master, mastered this reality. And the message from the guidebook is you've learned so much to this point. Yes, you have. And are learning more every day. You're recognizing all the great lessons and experiences brought to you and are preparing for a transition to or inner ascension where you will move beyond another level of fear and into the inner sanctum of your heart and soul, becoming aware of these patterns. And let me get a quick message from Melchizedek, and you might be able to channel or get these senses too. And I'll just kind of focus on Melchizedek and developing our intuition here in this moment. Yes, dear ones, you are all vessels for the divine. The divine comes through you every day. It's just a matter of listening, opening your heart, opening your eyes and your mind, and it all comes to you. At first, you might not recognize it because it seems like you're shifting your reality and having another vision, kind of squinting your eyes and seeing a different aspect of things. But when you do open your heart and your mind, things are different. There's a new fresh air around you. There's new connections. Things are easier because you see how things are connected. When you're too close to them, kind of a myopic vision, you're too close to see the big picture. But when you step back and breathe the fresh air of the higher realms, that can come into your everyday life and change your being and change even your physical wiring for how you live your life. And that is very wonderful. We love to assist you in doing so.
Wow. Beautiful.
Okay. So those are little, I like to get these little channelings, and I just sort of did this many years ago and now just do it more and more. And for me, it's just sort of tuning into these messages. It may be different for you, but everyone has these connections, and the cards are a wonderful way to do so for Melchizedek. And there's much more we could do, but that's just a little taster sampler because we have a lot more to cover today in developing your intuition and raising your sense of possibilities, your vibrational, your sense of possibility thinking. And when you use your inner modalities, your inner hearing, seeing, sensing, knowing, even tasting, smelling, that opens you up to more possibilities. And as I said, it becomes kind of a way of life. Like, oh, I'm lost for a moment. Now I can find myself. I don't have to stay lost. I don't have to lose as much time. It is cycle, but there's less time being down and more time being up and awake. So Jane, that takes us to did you want to add to anything on that, by the way?
Just that it was beautiful. And I think what always impresses me is as we make these connections, can feel our vibration changing and feel something opening for us. As we also enter that part of, we're going to talk about, okay, so why oracles? And of course that tied us in right away to the masters and goddesses and gods because of the topic. Can we go back to the other picture? I just wanted to, if you, something, and I've mentioned this before, people have seen it probably, there's something really unique about these cards that Kyle Gray created, Keepers of the Light, in addition to the messages, which are great. That when you look at these portraits, you can feel that connection.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not male, just males or females, it's both. Here's Lady Portia, another beautiful, she's the twin flame of Saint Germain, who is more known, but the female masters are just as magnificent. So Lady Portia, Divine Order.
Mm-hmm.
And just looking at them, here's another one, Mary Magdalene.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
They're just so beautiful. And I think that they are uplifting, which is the reason. A lot of people are very familiar with archangels and connect with Archangel Michael and different ones, Archangel Raphael, Metatron. There are less people who connect with the masters. And if you look at, there are three kingdoms: the angelic kingdom, the human kind of ensouled species here on our planet kingdom, and then the elemental kingdom, which we also talk about in this course later on. The unique gift of the masters is that they've been where we are. So they know how to go where we want to go, to be able to evolve, to be able to awaken, to be able to embrace our magnificence. And I've got these cards here. There are just so many amazing beings. And here's one who many people know, Kuan Yin.
Mm-hmm.
And we do. People, we're familiar with Kuan Yin and Buddha, and there are many more. Here's Isis.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are some who are actually more cosmic, like this one, Commander Ashtar. Mm-hmm. When you're out in the stars, beautiful being to connect with, who is here to help us to make that connection a healthier connection with the universe. So they're connecting with the masters is obviously a sacred experience. And it's one where we, as with all of this, the way we explore it in the program is that there are beings who are special for us individually. And potentially, I think in many cases, there are beings of some of these masters and gods and goddesses who we have known in past lives, who have been present in past lives. I often mention Avalon, the mist of Avalon, the mystical place, and which is a place I feel like I was in a past life. And there are many actually masters, which includes women, of course, the female masters, who I'm aware of now even more because I recall my connection with them in that life. And I know that there is a reason why I was drawn to those particular ones. And one who I mention often is the being known as the Lady of the Lake, in for those who are familiar with that Avalon story, who is now, she's also the twin flame of the master El Moria, and her name is Amaryssus, who is also known as the goddess of light. And I wake up in the morning and I just ask to be blessed, and we can do it now. It's not like it's that hard, although I think the sense of being connected does increase over time, but just asking, if you want, asking Amaryssus to bless you with a cascade of light, because it's pure light from above, from the divine. You can just feel it. Just if you invite it, just this cascade of light coming down, blessing you, your body and your energy field. And when I do that in the morning, I do feel lighter and brighter. It's a wonderful way to start my day. For Philip, I don't know if Amaryssus is one he relates to much. I know that it's interesting because my past lives are more kind of in the Western world and his are more in the Eastern world, Buddha and those kinds of beings. Foxy, this is another type of being. Interestingly, if you follow their history too, you'll find that some of them have had lives in the West and the East, back and forth. So it's not like there's any religion or a specific set of beliefs that prevail for them. It is much more universal in their perspectives. So whether they're from the West or the East is insignificant. And we're not trying to promote anything, which is why we use these cards to support us in opening to the ones who are here for us. So if you draw a card, like drawing Melchizedek for today, there's a reason why that's of value for us collectively. And every time you draw a card, there's probably something for you in it. I do want to highlight Saint Germain. He's one of the masters who is, you could say, the leaders in helping us to move into this new age. So we'll be talking about him. And Lady Portia is his twin flame. So there's a lot here. And of course, beyond just whenever you draw one of these cards, beyond the master, there is a message. So there is guidance with them too. And they're beautiful. This is just one of 4 decks that we use in this course. And it is opening, really, it's an opportunity to open more to the truth of who we are and have teachers to support us who we can go to for guidance. Ultimately, experiencing life with these beings being part of it, angels, masters, beings from the elemental kingdom. And we're not going to talk about that much today, although I think Philip's going to do a reading, and we are going to go into this Earth Magic Oracle.
Yeah, just about
so connecting with the earth and the different elements and the magic of the elemental kingdom is another beautiful blessing. There's just so much. And I have to say, I've been aware of them for many years. I think since meeting really with Metatron, this happened with me 3 or 4 years ago, and he said to me that you need to access your full range of resources, and I didn't understand it at first, but what he meant is to connect with all of these different opportunities and things that are happening around us and we're unaware of them. We have angels around us. We have masters and gods and goddesses, and we have elemental beings. We have the four elements, which we discuss, and also explore in the tarot. I think that's one of the really wonderful things about the tarot, and the elements of nature, air, fire, water, and earth. That all of those, when you think about it, without any of those elements, if any of them was missing, we couldn't be here. And they have consciousness too. So there's just so much to explore. And I'm just deeply grateful for the opportunity to open in this way. And the oracles and tarot are a key, I think, for us. That's the way we've seen it. It's, if you think, well, how can I meet the masters? Well, you can start drawing cards and find the ones who maybe are wanting to meet you. I read recently, reading about Saint Germain, that they choose us. So if they come to you in a reading, there is a reason. And I think it's magical. What can I say?
So we'll show you how this works, give you an example here with actually one of the Bonita, who's actually enrolled in the spiritual guide program and using these decks like we'll do. And part of it is a practice. As we said, it's a mystery school. It's like a mystery school, or is one, where you have these tools for inner practice, daily practice, and then the community in the classes on Zoom weekly, where you learn, and it's a little more interactive when we have the classes. And you have practice labs where you actually practice these kind of techniques like I'm about to show you. So again, drawing from, I'm going to draw from that same deck, the spiritual guide. I'll put on my other camera the spiritual guide, this wonderful deck by Kyle Gray, yet another master for today. And Bonita volunteered today to get a reading, and we thought the topic would be appropriate for developing our spiritual intuition, for her specifically, but I know it will relate to all of us, especially since this is designed with the masters coming in mind. Bonita, did you want to say anything about just starting off about developing your intuition?
Always looking for more.
Bonita,
and there is always more, which is so
there is always more. And Bonita's a great student and very open.
And teacher. She's
a great teacher.
Yeah.
And, we're just being with her for a while, just seeing her open up. And I mean, she started off with a lot of training and background, having taken a lot of courses, although some people taking this training are just beginning. She was actually quite advanced, but nonetheless, she found quite a bit of value in this training and keeps going on with it because of all she's learned. Am I right there, Bonita? I didn't want to speak.
You are spot on, Philip.
Okay. So let's go back to the cards. This is a master to give for Bonita and collectively for all of us from Kyle Gray's wonderful deck, Keepers of the Light, finding a master for developing our intuition. Another master, see if it, oh, what do you know? Master Jesus. Now, this is interesting because this is not necessarily anything, quote, religious or Christian, even though many people associate that with it is consciousness and
Christ consciousness.
A Christ consciousness. And the tagline for that is forgiveness. So that's an interesting thing about developing your intuition. I'm beginning to sense something here. And the further message is you are on the path of light, love, and forgiveness. Healing is possible at this time. So when I say that, then
this
I bring, I bring it to Bonita, and I just ask her what's coming up for you for developing your intuition with forgiveness and this energy.
Well, I think forgiveness is one of the things that we have to get out of the way so we can hear our intuition. If we're harboring grudges and we're harboring things about ourselves that we don't like, that mucks up our connection, right? So, yeah.
I'm going to just get a further message. That's sort of the spiritual realm, you might say, on the other deck we use in the course with the wonderful deck, Earth Magic, Stephen Farmer. And this will be a second card to just maybe ground or get a little more insight.
No, to bring it down to earth.
Bring it down to earth. And I do have a message from Jesus. I want to channel this message because I just been getting, I don't want to lose touch of it. I'm sure I won't, but since it was so on the tip of my tongue. Yes, dear ones, you are all forgiven. It is just a matter of you realizing it. When you realize you are forgiven, everything makes sense. However tragic or terrible it seemed, it's there for you to learn and grow and walk more in love and peace and harmony and share that with your brothers and sisters on the earth and beyond. So that almost brought a tear to my eye there. Earth Magic, how grounding that. Thank you, Jesus. And as I said, my background is more Eastern, so and drawing a grounding card from the Earth Magic, we get, let's put this into the frame a little better. Ooh, volcano, volatility. Now, if you're new to doing these cards, you might think like some of your first thoughts, wow, volcano, I thought we were talking about peace and love and harmony. Now we have volatility. Does that make sense? Remember we talked about earlier thinking outside the box? How do you connect volatility with peace and forgiveness? Well, let me read a little more, just and their brief messages in the guidebook, the Earth Magic guidebook on the volcano. And these are things that are all around us and part of our realities, and they have physical experience and metaphysical, spiritual meaning. And it relates to Pele, the goddess who lives on the Big Island of Hawaii, in the description. This is a particularly volatile time for you. Unexpected changes.
Or maybe. I always change where they say is.
Yeah.
I always change it to maybe.
And I want to have a little annotation here, a little side comment. When these readings come, they are not set in stone. And some of them you might just reject outright, which we sometimes do, sometimes the whole thing. And they may be one word or one phrase. So this is not gospel. This is not everything that's being said here is true, but they will spark some awareness in most likelihood. And I'm going to get back to Bonita, which she's experienced momentarily. It may be a volatile time and unexpected changes, sometimes sudden and dramatic, are occurring, maybe in ways you don't have control over. They may be powerful events that shake you up. They may even cause you to reassess the direction your life is taking, question some of your relationships or choices. Although these events may rock your world, know that spirit is the guiding force behind them. It's a matter of finding your trust that life knows what it is doing in the midst of these storms of change. It always requires you to make adjustments quickly and to not cling to what was, but instead move forward and welcome with your arms open what is yet to come, all from a place of being present in this moment. You truly have nothing to fear. Turning it back to Bonita, what's coming up for you?
What's coming up for me is
from the volcano.
That I had my own personal volcano 20 years ago on the 20th of September, or the 12th of September when my mother died. And 19 years ago on the 13th of September when my father died. And that shattered my life open, I say, that it took me out of the science world and on this path because I just had to figure things out where my mother was now because what I grew up believing wasn't working for me. So, with the 20th anniversary coming up in a week or so, it's like, and then there was definitely forgiveness involved in that. And so that unexpected changes, I didn't expect my life to go in a completely different way than it had been going. Now, whether there's more unexpected changes coming, they are unexpected, so I'm not aware of
Yeah,
them.
you don't know them. And
Mhm.
going back to oracles, they're sometimes called divination, like predicting the future, and that's not exactly right. It might at best be a forecast. It may be patterns that are at play that you have certainly control over to change
Mhm.
the patterns.
Well, and I think what you were saying, that makes sense of this time because it is on your mind,
Right.
Yeah,
you
Yeah.
know, that and the whole thing makes sense just for what it is, what you're experiencing.
yeah. Well,
Right.
there was, forgiveness that had to go around with some of the outcomes of, losing them and other distant family members and, forgiving myself and
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to harbor anything and carry that through. I want to be done with
Mhm.
it and move on. So,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, and developing those intuitive traits, like we're saying, is going to make you, and you are becoming more flexible and adaptable.
hmm
That's great.
And
Mm-hmm.
looking at things deeper and not just looking at the
Right.
surface.
Right. Good. Yeah, thanks for participating and developing your intuition in the reading. That was great.
No, thank you.
Can I say something?
Please.
I also sense with the presence of Jesus, and I don't know if you feel any particular connection with him or not, but he is such a loving being. And I feel that in a time like this for you, you can, if you want, just ask to receive some of that love and support that he provides because he is also one of the beings who is guiding us into the new age into through Christ consciousness. That's what we're heading
Mm-hmm.
for.
Well,
He provided the template for us.
Mm-hmm.
we had an encounter in a meditation, so he's one of the beings that go with me up to the mountaintop.
Oh,
So
wonderful. Yeah,
yeah,
That's
so that is special. Yeah, and he
synchronous.
is. Yeah.
yeah, we're hanging
And
out.
good. Yeah, and it is again, there's no right or wrong to any of this, and it isn't about any of what the mass consciousness believes about any of them or any of it. It's not about that. But I
Mm-hmm.
think if we just open to the Christ consciousness and that it is all about love. The Christ consciousness is, you could say, the path, and the path is love, period.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's pretty simple, and he embodies that.
Yeah.
That's going to be coming into play in a kind of a business opportunity that I have. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because it is all about love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that message that was shared a moment ago from him. All is forgiven. It's just a matter of recognizing that and opening your heart to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Good.
Also, great healer, by the way.
Yes,
You
great.
know, can embrace some of that too.
So that takes us to putting this all together, Jane, and what's coming up. I know some people are already enrolled in this course on oracles and intuition starting next week, September 11th, but we want to piece things together here and part of this overview.
Yeah, I'm still kind of taken by that reading. I thought that
Yes,
was
it
so
was
beautiful,
powerful.
very powerful. Um, just going back, we're kind of reviewing a little bit. Your foundation is building that relationship with the love in your heart and soul. If it's new to you, or even if it's not new to you, one of the things that I started doing right away is asking questions in that state and then writing the responses, kind of that automatic writing idea, which I think is a great way to open to your intuition because it's just allowing whatever is going to come out on paper to come out. And then you can look at try to make sense of it later. But that guidance and wisdom in the heart and soul is so beautiful. And it is, if you ask your heart about yourself, you'll get a completely different, probably, perspective than you've had ever before if it's new to you. It's a really magnificent thing, and always returning to that. We always return to that ourselves. Like, am I in the right place? Am I in the right state to trust this guidance I'm receiving? And you can just very quickly tell. Is it love? And then practicing again with specific oracle and tarot cards. There are many different ones, and we only recommend, as Philip suggested, a specific card decks that are valuable, that we have found are helpful for spiritual awakening, to really get it.
Raise your
And
vibration.
Right. It raise your vibration and your awareness, and get the guidance maybe that you've been wanting to have for a long time but didn't have. Really get that sense of living fully. I think I'm more excited about life than ever, which is amazing to me. We've been doing this work for many, many decades now, and it just keeps getting better. It's hard to believe that it can, but it is. And so the oracles and tarot decks are wonderful. We'll be doing specific meditation processes, also focusing on keys for a spiritual transformation. Like in this course, we do a lot with balancing polarities. Everything's polarized in our world. So we have the masculine, feminine, you have spiritual, earthly, you have past, future. All of these different polarities are aspects of the self that we explore. And that's very profound in itself. Then healing processes we'll be doing together in the class. Last week we did the monster reframe, which is a really wonderful and kind of fun one. We will be using Saint Germain's Violet Flame.
By the way, the
ones.
monster reframe process, that powerful process we did in last week's preview class, is in it's in the resource section for people to review it, and the steps. There's a handout on how to do the monster reframe process.
Yeah, it's a really great one. And again, pretty simple, that draws on imagery, the power of imagery, imagining those things that are disturbing us, like fears and anxieties. If you imagine them as monsters, the problem is we see them as bigger than ourselves, right? If we don't see them as bigger than ourselves, they wouldn't be a problem. So it's a process where you could bring them down to size, and it really works. So that's a great and fun, really fun process, actually. And then, of course, we have a lot of unique content areas we explore, many things you won't find anywhere else because they came from us directly, and many things that we've learned, that we share the most important things we believe for ourselves and in our teachings that we've found with our students and clients over the years. So it's an exciting time, and it is a time of change, of dramatic change, a great time for connecting with these beings of light who are here to support us now in ways that we wouldn't even imagine possible.
Right.
So it's exciting.
It is.
You want to come back, Philip? We still aren't seeing you.
Oh, I'm still. I forgot to change my camera. I forgot. I'm still in the Oracle land. Here I am. And we know that many of the people who are watching this live or on replay are already enrolled, but we know some people are not and are looking to join or considering to join. I want to just give an overview of what's happening here on the program, starting officially next week, September 11th, same time, same place. And here's a website and how to connect, tinyurl.com/spirit-course if you're not enrolled. And it's a synergy, the program of these tools for the next new frontier of humanity, as we've said. Oracles, connecting with masters, angels. We talk about the Akashic records elsewhere, intuitive development. It all works synergistically, meaning the sum is greater than the parts. And you learn how to do this, developing yourself inwardly and also connecting with the wonderful people, the spiritual community in the course. And the 3 courses in the whole program, the next one, as we said, begins next week, September 11th, on Oracles and Intuition, Spiritual Transformation with Ascended Masters. Then there's a second course. They're all 4 months in length, with 7 classes and 7 labs weekly, a class or a lab, Creating Abundance with Archangels and Oracles. And then the 3rd course, Awakening to Your Magnificence with the Akashic Records. And it is a lot of fun. And just if people are wondering, are the people enrolled, what are the 7 classes each week? So you stay on track, and they're all recorded. So if you can't make them live, although it is recommended to be alive for the live energy and the interaction, they are recorded for your review. Class 1 next week on balancing your spiritual earthly polarities. Class 2 on deepening connections with the goddesses, gods, and masters. I think you got a sense today of how the depth of connecting with these masters and integrating them into your life. It's like your life becomes so much richer with these spiritual masters connected directly with you and helping you. Class 3, balancing the past and future. That's another polarity, becoming more in the now. Class 4, communing with the elemental kingdom, the nature, the fire, the earth, the air. And we have a special guidebook, an exclusive guidebook that we're just finishing now on this, which is very rare to get this material to put it into words and be practical again. Class
Yes,
5.
I've found exploring the elemental kingdom, it's much harder to find information on that than anything else. Because there are the magnificent beings of light there too, and you rarely even hear about them. So it's
And it's
it's,
ironic because
amazing.
the elements are all around us, the air, the earth, the wind, the fire, the water, yet we don't, I mean, we take it for granted and don't really understand how we can connect much more deeply and co-create with the elemental kingdom.
Mhm. Because we are co-creating with the elemental kingdom, which
Class
most people
5,
don't even know that.
Class 5, a cosmic view of integrating the masculine and feminine from within. We started to talk about that today. Class 6, releasing the hold of the past. If we're stuck in the past, we can't be in the now and go forward, as you know. And then Class 7, making your life a magical, mystical work of art. And there are practice labs where you practice with a partner and integrate these experiences and this special knowledge, often hard to find or unique to what we're training here. And because we're discovering it now, like connecting Jesus with the volcano today. That was a pretty interesting connection of things. And I know some people have been in the course, maybe to share a little bit of their experience. If anyone would like to share, this would be a good time to mention what it's like being in the program, because some people haven't joined yet or are considering that. So feel free to share.
Well, this is Margaret. I'll offer up a little something.
Thank you, Margaret. Good to see you again.
Good to see you as well. Very excited to be here and moving on. This will be my third of the year-long course, and I'm very excited for it. I think one of the things that I really love about your classes is that there's always, the perspective is personal, but it's also very large in its perspective. You draw from a lot of different influences, and it always is amazing to me how you kind of distill all of that down into some really effective processes. And I've had some of my biggest spiritual growth lessons happen in your classes, and I'm very grateful for that. And speaking from sort of the physical side of it, I really love the fact that we have these practice sessions where we get to break off in these groups and then meet the fellow people in the class and actually experience doing these processes for ourselves with other people. You learn a lot in that, and I've gotten so much healing from my fellow classmates as well. So I really enjoy everything about it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing, Margaret. Great to be with you again.
Go down.
And this is what you're going to receive in the spiritual guide program. So people enrolled, these will be in your resource section. All the weekly classes are recorded for review. We have a new book on awakening to your magnificence, an exclusive guidebook on the oracle readings, how to do the readings step by step, very easy to read. Another exclusive short guidebook on the oracles, angels, and enlightened master. We did a soul centering mystical mountain meditation. So there's audios and videos on that to refer to, and handouts, specific energy healing techniques like the monster reframe, the violet flame, and others. We mentioned the new guidebook on co-creating with the elemental kingdom, and there's a lot of targeted handouts too. Well, Jane, that takes us to getting ready for the class next week before we close here.
Right, right. And getting started, just going and poking around on your resource page, I think people generally say that we over deliver. There's a lot there, a lot to explore, and we provide resources that you can refer back to for years in the future, I think also. Learning the different techniques, as Philip mentioned, we have a guidebook on the specific readings that we do. We do very specific combinations of cards and intentions that are valuable for what we're wanting to achieve with them. So that's really great. I also, for anyone, connecting with your heart and soul on a daily basis is a really valuable thing to do. I think for us, after many decades now, it's a pretty natural thing, but it still is for me a foundation. I want to be sure that I'm in that space. And I do processes I like going to the perfect place, and I have my own place that I go to. I call it my heavenly home. And it's an important part of life, I think, to maintain that connection with the truth of who we are. So you have that opportunity. It also is so valuable connecting with the masters of these teachers and guides in the community. I think it can accelerate probably just about anyone's growth. I've been amazed after so many years. And I think we were at a place before we started into this particular thing where we were doing well, but it was like we were ready for something new to come in. So wherever you are, whether you're just starting, whether you've done a lot of things and want to do more, I think there's something in it for everybody. And encourage you if you feel, and of course it's always feeling in your heart. If it feels like it's for you, that'd be great. And always relax with it, enjoy it from where you are. I think it's very easy. People I know sometimes will come to us after they've started a course and, well, it's been 3 weeks now and I just don't get it yet. Well, that's why it's a year-long course.
Yeah. And
because it takes
each
time.
course, each course is 4 months, and you can take one course or take all 3 courses or decide as you go.
Right. And wherever you are, just enjoy the journey. I think that's the main thing. Just enjoy it and be in the flow with the divine, I guess.
Yeah, and if you, we know some people are already enrolled. As we said, some people want to enroll or looking to enroll. You go to tinyurl.com/spirit-course to do that. And just for let me just mention also, it is a very affordable course. Like, this is a comparison. There's a Hay House course on Certified Angel Guide, and that's 9 pre-recorded videos for $4.99. And in comparison, we've kept this very affordable for either $99 a month for the 4 months of the single course, or if you want to do the whole program, which we recommend, it's 12 payments of $95, or the best deal is that single payment. So we think it's very affordable for you. If you're interested, you'll find a way to do that. And let's see, what I wanted to conclude here with is just the profound benefits of this training, and the people who are in it are going to experience this, and some of them already have, because they're continuing on with the course. You're going to greatly accelerate your spiritual growth and intuition, as Margaret was indicating, and I think Bonita in the sort of suggested too. You're going to learn these powerful, effective, holistic tools, most of which you can't find elsewhere. You're going to know how to balance these polarities, which is important for going forward in your spiritual growth and your evolution. And you're going to get support from us, for Jane and myself, all the wonderful members in the spiritual community, and you can develop lifelong relationships. A lot of people do. And hopefully we'll we'll see some new people joining us too from this, and we have already some wonderful people enrolled or continuing on the course. This is going to be very exciting. Jane, did you want to add anything as we conclude here?
I think we pretty much covered it.
We covered the whole gamut of
The key is love, as Foxy is sharing here.
using oracles and intuition and sometimes dogs and other tools for developing your
Yeah, they're
intuition.
great for
They're good for fun and intuitive
and
play.
love.
Yeah.
A lot of love.
Okay. So until next time, we'll see